The thing about real estate is it's a copycat industry. If you can put your ego aside and truly evaluate somebody who may be doing something better than you, or maybe something that you want to get to, most people will help you get there. It's just a matter of, can you ask, right? Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast, where we highlight the best of the best in real estate industry. Today's guest is a powerhouse entrepreneur who has redefined luxury real estate in Northeast Florida. After relocating for a better lifestyle, he built something truly extraordinary, opening multiple real estate shops, recruiting some of the region's top producing advisors, leading his company to explosive growth. Under his leadership, his brokerage has been recognized as the fastest growing real estate company in Jacksonville, earned over a dozen awards, and even captured the prestigious EV America's Cup, the highest honor within Engel Völkers network. The former Division I athlete with a strong foundation in leadership, discipline, and teamwork, he has taken those skills off the field and into building one of the most dominant real estate brokerages in Northeast Florida. Let's welcome the dynamic force behind Engel Völkers First Coast, Corey Hasting, to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm gled to be here.
Yeah, you like that intro?
That was great.
That's ChatGPT at its best.
That was great. That was good.
Oh, it makes me sound good.
Me too. Yeah.
Good to have you on because, like I said, I've had a lot of your agents on. We were talking pre-show. And, I mean, just some amazing numbers. And during a period of time where we're seeing, some good agents in 2021 fading away, where other agents are excelling, and a lot of them are on your squad.
Yeah, I mean, we have an amazing group. I mean, 2024 was obviously a very difficult year for, I think, everybody in real estate, but we were blessed to have actually our greatest year ever as a brokerage. We sold just under $1 billion in sales. We missed it by about $12 million with 136 people. Yeah. So, I mean, not every agent obviously had their greatest year, but a lot of our agents still grew, maybe not 20%, maybe they grew 12% instead. But I think the common theme is that everything is hard, right? No matter if you're a top producer or if you're a part-timer, everything is very difficult. But I do think that the top producers are going to continue to really grow in market share, because even though the transactions are down about 8 to 10%, they're not just going away, right? I mean, there's still transactions being done. I just think that the top half of the agents are the ones gabbling a lot of that market share for everybody else.
Yeah. We talked a little bit, first thing we came in, we were talking about the amount of cash going on. And this is just something that came to my head while you're making that statement, the Engel Völkers presence being international.
Yeah.
Have you saw that being a percentage of your production?
Oh, absolutely.
Because of that logo, that brand.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Engel Völkers is one of the world's largest international companies, all the way around the world. Mm-hmm. Last year we finished with the highest average sales price in the city of any brokerage that sold over 500 transactions or more. So we definitely do very well in the luxury space, but obviously we sell everything. And that's, I think, a huge factor of just the brand itself. Yeah. I mean, if you go to Europe, to Spain, to Germany, to anywhere overseas, you're only going to see us. And so a lot of our clientele are the ones who are going overseas and traveling, and also to other major cities inside the United States. So that obviously helps huge with brand recognition for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to do my little promotional here. Obviously, you're going to get one of these here. I got one for you here, but it's got the show logo. Remy Graphics is on there. And as I tell many of your agents, you want one-offs. She's local. You want, hey, John and Sally, welcome to Jacksonville Beach, your new home. She'll make these, an all laser engraved gift, but Remy Graphics, RemyGraphics.com. And then a new sponsor, I've got a nice read here. Attention agents and brokers, are you ready to lead, not follow? Deli is the first AI-powered home search tool that's changing the real estate forever. Founded by Lyman Starmer, local here to Jacksonville, went to Episcopal High School. Deli turns your website into a natural language search engine, making home searches faster, easier, and smarter than anything Zillow offers. Sites using Deli are seeing massive jumps in engagement, longer buyer sessions because clients finally get their experience they expect. This isn't a trend. AI is the future of the real estate search. Be first, be different. Email Lyman, Lyman, at use deli.com. Mention the Real Estate Excellence and get 30% off. Don't get left behind. Deli is where real estate is going. And we were talking a little bit about AI, and to lead into that, one of the great questions that I asked ChatGPT to suggest here to go deep with it is, what are some of the things that we're seeing in technology? What is Engel Völkers doing? Because that's always evolving.
Yeah.
And you being that broker who is always adding value to your agents, and you got high quality agents. Yeah. So you got to stay cutting edge. What are some of the things you guys have got coming down the pipe or using right now?
I mean, one of the things I love most about this brand is that we're very technology based. And I feel like technology is such like a funny word in real estate. It's like, we have tech. Yeah. But, technology is useless if you don't know how to use it or don't know where to find it, right? So I think our brand does an amazing job integrating it to where it's very user-friendly. And by user-friendly, I mean agent-friendly. Yeah. Because, like I said before, some agents inside of our firm don't know how to copy and paste. Other agents want to code their own website, right? So you kind of have to have the support staff and the ability to do everything in between. But if you're not using some sort of AI, then you're falling behind pretty quickly. And so we have a lot of things coming out within the next few weeks. Not going to share it on the podcast, but a couple of things that are really, my sole job is to make our advisors' life easier. My staff's job is to make our producers be two places at one time. And so everything that we do as an organization is built around that mindset. And so we are integrating a lot of AI. We're getting ready to launch a couple of new systems internally that hopefully, with a couple of tricks on the keyboard, we'll have all the market data, all the MLS information, literally everything that you want to do and more will be at the palm of your hand. Mm-hmm. Because what used to take an hour now can take 5 minutes. Yeah. And it's just a matter of, do you have the right system? Do you have the right information? And then how do you implement it? Yeah. And I think we're going to do really, really well at that.
Well, what you just said, your ideology as the leader in your support staff, you're supporting these agents. For some reason, not every brokerage has that kind of, which to me is like, that's like common sense. That should be like the cornerstone of every brokerage, right? Isn't that what a broker's supposed to do?
I mean, I can't speak for others, right? I mean, I know for us, in 2024, our average agent sold $7.2 million in sales volume, and the average agent closed 11.5 transactions. If you look at the recent NAR study that came out at the end of 2024, if you closed 11 to 20 transactions nationally, you're in the top 2% of 1.5 million real estate agents, right? So that means that every single person who works for my firm is in the top 2%. So that also adds a lot of pressure because there's a huge difference of a brokerage and a staff and a company that is built for the new agent, and there's a huge difference the ones that are built for the top producer. So the ones for the top producer, you have to be very dialed in because, there's a lot of competitive brokerages out there. And my biggest thing is, why are they here, right? They could work at any brokerage in the entire city, but why are they here with us today? Yeah. And so it's my job to really solidify and always add value. If it's, stuff from AI or stuff from listing presentation stuff or marketing or support staff or whatever it may be. And it's really, when we opened this brokerage back April 30th of 2018, it's always been our ideology, and we've never wavered from it. I mean, we're the only brokerage in the city, at least to my knowledge, that doesn't just have a revolving door. So every single person wants to be a part of our firm really has to fit like three main criteria for us. Number one is culture. Culture means a million different things, from full-time real estate agent, how you treat your customers, how you work with others. We don't have any part-time agents, no referral agents, none of that. Number two is you have to sell $3 million or more per year to even be a part of our firm, which doesn't really seem like that much, but as we have like 12,000 agents here in Northeast Florida. I would say there's probably 1,200 agents who do over $3 million or more. So, and number three is this ability to learn new tools and trades. We have some of the best technology, some of the best listing and marketing enhancements, but being able to be adaptable and learn those things, right?
You go to a lot of different conferences. You speak at some of them as well. Yeah. What helps you choose what tech? Because there's a lot of shiny widgets out there. Yeah. What do you do to evaluate what's worthwhile to bring in?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very blessed to speak on main stage at Inman, main stage at Gathering of Eagles, like a lot of the national conferences. And, I am very fortunate to be friends and colleagues with people who are a lot smarter than I am on a national scale. And so, the thing about real estate is it's a copycat industry. If you can put your ego aside and truly evaluate somebody who may be doing something better than you, or maybe something that you want to get to, most people will help you get there. It's just a matter of, can you ask, right? And so I think for me, we finished by Real Trends last year 314th out of 80,000 brokerages in production nationally. So that means there's only 313 brokerages who sold more than we did across the nation. So I'm going to go and find out who those 313 are, find somebody that's relatable in my market staff, and then go and ask them, hey, what do you guys do really well, right? Yeah. And I think it's not a matter of you're the competition, I have to go and beat you, whatever else. If this person is in San Antonio, they don't really care what's going on in Jacksonville, right? They want to probably help because they also want to do that. And so I think it's being able to see what companies, what brands, what leaders do things the right way. What are they doing that we can bring back and install and implement? But also I think my entire mindset is always, what does the top producer need, right? I was a top producer in the city for a number of years, top 50 agent. And so maybe that kind of helps me understand, like, what do they need? What are they looking for? What is the brokerage really giving them? And so it kind of allows me, hopefully, to relate to that person who just wants systems and tools. I just want to make my life easier.
Are some of the, the years that you've been in the business, have the actions or the, obviously everyone should be prospecting, whatever percentage you probably have an idea what they were spending on time. It's just the tools to do it better, faster, more efficiently have changed. But have those basic actions really changed in real estate?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, the thing is like, we preach all the time, always focus on your basics, right? Because if you don't have a database, you don't have a business, number one, right? And, newer agents, it's obviously more difficult to have a database because you just don't have that many transactions yet. You just don't have that many people But if you've been in the industry, let's call it 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, right? You should have that repeat business beginning to come on if you're doing it correctly. So you can have all the gadgets and widgets and AI and everything that you want to use in the world, but if you're not truly connecting with your customers, you don't have a business.
Right. You get caught hiding behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, and I always say this, like, this is a customer service industry. We can have all the great, flashy toys. We can have all the tech, all this stuff, but you're still dealing with people, and people will buy people before they buy product any day of the week. And so people want to see that you actually care about them, that you're real, that you're knowledgeable, competent, all of these things. So you can have all the flashy toys, but if you're not connecting with them or touching your database or telling them thank you or appreciating what they're doing for you and your business, then you're never going to make it work.
What do you think right now? It was May of 22, so we're coming up on 3 years now when rates jumped up. So it changed everyone's little mindset. Some people took a step back. March was supposedly the slowest year in real estate in whatever, a couple of decades or whatever it is. But what do you right now, or what have you noticed maybe over the last 90 days that you're trying to stay out in front of? What are your agents' needs?
So I think everything is difficult. And I think it's becoming we're a listing company. Last year, we were about 52% listings sold compared to buyers, which is great. And I want to be a listing company because listing companies can truly dictate the market. But with that, you have a lot of pushback on sellers right now. Why isn't my home selling? I don't want to cut the price down. Well, the house down the street sold for X, right? Everything is a little bit difficult. And I think it's becoming a very difficult market for sellers to understand, but also accept, right? Because you have all this uncertainty in the market right now with tariffs and global economy and interest rates and blah, blah, blah. Right. And everything that I have read and everybody that I trust in the industry is telling us, Q2, just get through it. Because it's not getting better, right? Hopefully Q3, things will kind of settle down across the world. Things will kind of slow down and people can get back to kind of what quote unquote normal is. But Q2, we just got to get through it, right? And so we're trying to truly train our advisors about having those expectations, having those hard conversations with the seller. The average on the market right now is 87 days. Like, that's really, really high. And also prices are starting to come down a little bit now, which is the first time in a long time, which means buyers have all the power. But I say that, and we're still seeing multiple offers. We're still seeing highest and best. We're still seeing all these things. So it's a very confusing market. I think Jacksonville is very neighborhoodish, where, San Marco market is completely different than Jax Beach and so on and so forth. But you have to truly be an advisor and market specialist inside of that network and inside that market to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what the market is telling us, not just what I want you to hear.
Right. Well, you talked earlier, a lot of cash.
Yeah.
So the cash buyer, would you agree, can come in with an attitude of, hey, I like that home, I like that street, my wife likes it, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I got the cash. They're not thinking $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. Not really a factor because they have this pile of cash.
Well, yeah. And I think also those buyers today are the ones who are coming in and saying, all right, Mr. Seller, let's use round numbers, 500,000. I'll give you 420. Show me that you want to sell, right? And it's obvious, and the sellers, that's where I think where a lot of our conversations are having is the sellers are like insulted by it. Like, how could they ever do that to me? Da, 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 da. That would, my neighbor sold a year ago for X. It's like, yeah, but the market changes so fast that your house is truly worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And not saying that you should take the 420 offer. I'm just saying that that's usually how a lot of our negotiations are starting out. Because if I was a buyer with cash right now, why wouldn't you do that? You have power now for the first time in 5 years.
Right.
And, this has been a seller's market really ever since COVID. And so now buyers are truly coming back and saying, this is my time, right? And we don't know what house appreciation is going to be like over the next 12, 24 months. I mean, you would think that once, hopefully, that interest rates come down back into the fives, supply and demand industry.
I think 5.875, we're going to have a frenzy.
I mean, we have now more inventory than we've had in 5 years. So I would agree with you. And I think that's whenever prices will go up again because it's everything in real estate is always supply and demand. And right now we just have so much supply and not that much demand because buyers are just waiting.
Right. Well, I imagine the discussion you guys are having a lot at your meetings or gatherings, whatever it may be, is I've got listings that are sitting.
Yes.
Yeah. What is some of the strategies? Because you have a lot of high level people there, which I imagine probably lead a lot of your conversations because some of them have a decade more experience than you do in the business.
Yeah.
And, obviously have consistency of selling high level. What are some of the tips that some of the listeners some of the agents might be listening that you guys are having in these conversations on some of these houses that are sitting?
Well, I think number one, everything starts with price, right? And I hear all the time, I'm priced right. It's like, priced right to win, right? Are you priced right 6 months ago? Are you priced right 3 months ago? Are you priced right 3 days ago? Because that's how fast the market is changing. So if you're priced right 6 months ago, you're not priced right in today's market. Yeah. So everything drives by price. But also on top of that, what are you doing to stand out more than the other 12 houses in the neighborhood? Because majority of places right now, if you look at like big neighborhoods or the big communities, there's 10, 12, 13, 30 properties for sale. So why, if I'm a buyer in your price range and they're all pretty similar, why am I picking your house over their house? So are you doing staging? Are you doing professional photography? Are you doing walkthrough tours? Are you doing any one of the boosts on the third-party websites, right? What are you truly doing to stand out? Or are you just putting on the MLS and hoping it sells?
Good point. That's exactly what I wanted to draw out of you. Is I think, knowing some of these agents personally and the top level agents from all over, whether they're with Engel Völkers or others, is going that extra mile. Like I said, doing a little bit of staging, having that hard conversation, decluttering, whatever it is, but they're putting a little extra polish on their listing.
They have to.
Yeah.
And by polish, that means agents are paying out of pocket for it. They're paying out of pocket for staging. They're paying out of pocket for pre-inspections, right? Pre-listing inspections. They're paying all these things because the agent knows they need it. It's the seller that's saying, I don't want that. I'm not paying for that. I'm not doing that. Da, 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 da. And it's like, okay, well, the top agent is going to tell that person, hey, I just sold the house on the street with doing X, Y, and Z. You have to listen to me. Certain personalities, as we all know, they're not going to, right? Yeah. But I think also what I'm also teaching a lot of our agents is learning to say no and walk away. Not every business is good business, especially in today's market, right? And if it's a seller that is already bogging you down on commission, bogging you down on price, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, is it really worth it, right? I mean, there's so much business out there right now.
There's a reel out there. Actually, I actually saw two different reels where the agent's talking about the seller trying to negotiate, the commission part of it. And the agent saying, you need to just reply back. Is this how you want me to negotiate your house? Just go ahead and,
So there's a few. So I go on a lot of listing presentations with a lot of agents in our office, and there's some who have really just done an amazing job handling the whole compensation thing, right? And, back August 17th, everybody thought the world was falling. How are we going to do this? What's going to go on with our payment? All this stuff. Right. We're actually seeing that agents are making more now than even before, because now I know my value. I can tell you this is my value. I can sell you this is my value, and it's up to me to negotiate with you as far as what that is. Yeah. And we have a lot of top agents who have been in the industry for a long time that will kind of kill that compensation question with, well, let's say I'm asking for 3, and the agent's like, well, I'm only paying you 2.5, right? 90% of agents will just say okay because they're afraid of having that conversations. But the top agents will say something along the lines of like, okay, well, this is where I start to show you how good I am at negotiating. My fee is 3 and here's the reasons why.
Yeah.
And you start to have that conversation. But I think where agents go wrong is they're so afraid to lose the business that they're just yes men or women, right? Yeah. Yes, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. Yes. Oh, anything you want, right? And then whenever push comes to shove, 6 months in, they're not selling. That seller's like, well, why didn't you tell me this before?
Yeah.
Because they were afraid of that conversation. And that's where setting expectations in today's market is so important. Because yes, I would love to have a $25 million listing, right? But if it's never going to sell, then what is the point of having it?
Yeah.
It's coming out of pocket anyway.
Headache and stress.
Like, what are we doing, right? And
Yeah.
so I think just having that conversation, but also having that confidence in yourself, knowing what you do as an advisor, what you do as a seller or a buyer, whatever it may be, is so important. And we try to just instill confidence in all of our people a lot.
I was thinking about what, that negotiation, sitting there going in for buyer's consultation or listing appointment. I think a lot of agents, although the statistics are there.
Yeah.
The person who you're probably competing with, A, probably didn't answer the phone, right? Isn't that the number one complaint?
Yeah.
B, probably showed up late.
Mm-hmm.
C, showed up, wearing jeans or whatever and was in, whatever, just personality didn't even match with the seller. Who knows,
Right.
whatever it is. What,
Right.
it may not be what you're going. They may be fine with you coming in jeans and whatever and type of thing, and they'd be casual with it, but personalities also.
Yeah.
And I think would you agree, having been in sales, when people start actually just poking you, they really just want to see how you respond.
Well, that's everything, right? I mean, not only are they interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. Mm-hmm. And I think, you only have one chance at a first impression. And that's why we teach drastically when it comes to listing presentations as far as the step-by-step process. Like, people show up to a listing thinking that it's just, I'm just going to go tell them what their house is worth. It's not that. It's actually a very, very scientific approach if you think about it. Like, would you show up on time? Are you going to bring value? What's the presentation look like? How do you look? What are you bringing with you? What type of personality are you asking? What type of questions are you having? And so there's actually a method to the madness, as we always joke, and that's why, we have so many listings we have over 300, I think, in 12 listings as an office with 136 people. So, we are I think we just finished 5th in market share out of 1,700 brokerages last year in Jacksonville Business Journal. So, we do really, really well with listings because not only do we have great systems and tools, but also because the advisors that we have understand how to pitch value, which I think is so important.
The average consumer thinks they can go on Zillow and get their value. You think, because that statement you made, that's a lot of agents, I think, have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Let me just go in and wing it instead of taking, an hour doing some real research and, as you present your brokerage, you're rattling off figures to me. So if I'm a potential agent that you're trying to recruit and you're telling me, hey, this and this and this, you sound like I'm not even questioning you, okay? Because you rattle it off with so much confidence.
Yeah.
And that's really what they want to hear. Why is that value? Well, hey, I've looked at all these houses down here. This is what's going on right now. That one I checked out has a pool or has a bigger backyard, smaller all those things.
Right.
And you sound like you actually did some due diligence.
That's huge. And the thing is people are terrified right now of being taken advantage of. Mm. That's why I think buyers are waiting because they don't want to, buy at 6.99 whenever they think that it's going to come down to 5s later this year. So they're afraid of making that financial risk. Sellers are terrified right now, leaving money on the table because everything is hard. Like, the economy is hard, job force is hard. Everything is difficult. So the people are very afraid of either being taken advantage of, leaving money on the table, whatever else. And so whenever you walk into somebody's house and you have to tell them, hey, your house is actually worth $50,000 less than what you think it is, their first question is, no, it's not. Prove it. And so if you can do that through data and price per square foot and sold and all these things, you can hopefully naturally start to build or tear down that barrier that they have, right? Mm-hmm. Because people aren't just going to walk in and believe you because you are who you are, right? You have to get them to understand how you got to that process. And then once, hopefully, if you do that well enough, they might not always agree, but at least they'll understand. And that's what we try to get, because do you at least understand how I got to this number? And that for me was always a great close because I'm not selling you on it. I just want to know if you understand the math, how I got there.
Right.
Because if you can understand it, well, now we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And you can't understand it, I'll explain it again.
Yeah.
And so it's not a matter of, do you agree with this? because that allows you to have somebody say no to you. But it's a matter of, do you understand how the math got there? Do you understand why your house is priced at $200 a foot compared to down the street that's $215 a foot, right? They have a pool, they're 200 square feet bigger, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Right. And I think right now, I mean, price is the driving factor to everything. So if you're a good price specialist for listings, you're going to do really well.
I caught this interesting it was news clip or whatever, on social media, but they were making the statement about the builders. They feel, the market right now, the builders have a corner on it, obviously with their incentives, which I think is part of the reason why the values are staying up, because they're getting the appraisals, but $30,000 of that is for their incentives and everything else.
Of course.
But they felt that they're actually going to start probably build 150 to 200 square foot smaller homes just to keep the price point down.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that no matter if you're in the industry, no matter what facet, right? If you're in a title company, mortgage lending, builder, brokerage, whatever, you have to pivot, right? And so, I mean, the market is moving so quickly that if you believe that the market's going to be where it is today a year from now, you're wrong. And so every single facet of the industry has to adapt, have to change. And so, I mean, I wouldn't, doubt it, because I think the builders are going to say, hey, we're still going to build a great product. I still need this number.
Right.
But what can we do? Is it incentive based? Can we buy the rate down? And can I throw in a free fence, free fridge, whatever?
Right.
But the sales price still says this.
Yes.
And so that's where, I mean, there's always a way to get around it. I think.
All right. This is one of ChatGPT's great questions that came up here. I really love how it's worded. You've built one of the fastest growing, most award-winning brokerages, Engel Völkers history. Is that actually true?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
it is.
Good. What would you say is the magic touch that has consistently attracted top producing agents to your organization and keeping them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, it's a matter of, I think the one thing I want all of our advisors to know wholeheartedly is that I care. And I think for me, I generally care about their business. I generally care about them as a people. I generally care about their family, their kids, all these things. And with that level of care, I am going to do every single thing in my power to provide value to make their life easier. Where I think brokerages go wrong in this city is they live in the gray, right? They have these agents that are going to say, hey, we're going to increase your price point. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. We're going to do all of these things, right? But whenever they actually get there, it's, well, where is the this and where is the that? And so I love living in the black and white. Like, I am very direct on all my recruiting. I'm very direct with all of our agents. We're going to give you better marketing than ever, better support than ever, better systems and tools than ever. And we're going to be able to run your business as a business, not just answer the phone when it rings. And usually agents at the top level, that's really all they need. I don't need to teach them real estate, right? They just want to know if they call me at 7:00 on Saturday because they have a fire, I'm going to answer.
Right.
Our support team are going to be there for them. Our marketing team are going to be there for them. And so I think it's just the whole ideology that, we truly care about our people. And the thing is too, is like, we're still so boutique enough to where, I mean, I have personal relationships with every single person. We only have 136 people. So, there's weeks that I don't have any recruiting meetings. And so all the time in my office, I'm sitting down with them, business planning or listing presentations, or just going to lunch with them or coffee and saying, how's everything going with your daughter in college, right? So I think it's just a whole level of, it's just a different style than brokerages are really that's ever been here before. And I think that's why a lot of the top producers are really drawn to us.
Yeah. Veronica Willen was on not too long ago. She said, I asked her point blank, what was it about Corey? What was it? And the fact when she came in, you already had an agreement or whatever you guys signed ready to go. Like, hey, here, and that impressed her that you, and I think it goes back to, you not only did that at the point of sale, at the point of recruiting them, but also continuing is you did your due diligence on it, which I can guarantee you there's so many brokers, someone gets in front of them, they don't even know their numbers and can't even speak to them about it or get to know them, that doing a little due diligence before they even come in. You're trying to recruit this person. Do you want them to come on? You think you might want to know something about them a little bit to try to win friends and influence people?
You would think, I mean, so just like I told you about how the listing presentation is, there's a method to the madness, right? Recruiting for me is the exact same way. It's 1 + 1 = 2. And I think where brokerages go wrong is they just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. They're going to mass call, cold call, all this stuff. Oh, you got whoever coming? Okay, yeah, sure. For us and for me, I only take meetings if I already know that I want the person. So whenever they come in and they're going to give me an hour of their time, we're going to figure it out. And you're going to know everything that possibly I can tell you about the brand. And we're going to have conversations. We're going to have questions. We're going to show you every piece of technology. We're going to do all of these things because I want you to be able to leave that meeting being able to make your decision. Not always does. Like we can always have a second meeting, whatever else. But, people's lives are very busy. So if they're giving me an hour, I'm going to maximize that hour and we're going to go through every single step of the way. And also the thing for me is like, why are we recruiting people that you don't want? I never understood that from brokerages.
Yeah.
So I'm only having meetings from agents that I already know that I want, already know that'd be a great fit. And I would say probably 90 to 92% of all of our recruiting is all organic anyway. This agent comes over, they were left XYZ brokerage, agent XYZ brokerage calls them. Hey, why'd you join? Tell me all about it. Oh, let's meet with Corey. And it just begins to build that organic growth because just like in real estate, a hot referral is more valuable than anything. Well, in recruiting, it's 10 times more valuable than everything because I can tell you whatever the agent wants to hear. But if their friend or their peer or whoever's like, I came over, I increased my price point. This is the great systems. He's amazing. Then agent's going to take that meeting. And then it's up to me to then just fulfill that and say, hey, this is what we actually do.
Right.
And so I just truly live in the black and white. And I think that's where a lot of agents respect that. But also for me, it just, I'm busy, they're busy. I don't want to fluff them, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that they know what they're getting into and what we expect from them as well.
One of the challenges I think a lot of agents have, many of your agents have broken at least through the initial lid. Mm-hmm. I talk about the lid a lot on the show because there's a lot of agents who are top producers and they're in that. I think it's somewhere between 6 to 9 million, depending on the price point they may be working at.
Yeah.
But they're doing everything themselves.
Yeah.
So they're hitting this lid, and really, with a little bit of coaching, mentoring, advice, whatever it may be, can really be doing 13, 15 million.
That's everything.
Right. What are some of the things that, because I imagine you're recruiting some of these people.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're doing at Engel Völkers to help them take it to the next level?
Yeah. Well, I can't give you all of our secrets, but no, just kidding. For us,
tell us a story would be good.
Yeah. I have a few, but I think the biggest thing is agents who are doing 6 to 9. There's no reason they can't be doing 15 or 13. They're doing the exact same work, but the issue is they don't have enough time. Mm-hmm. So my job and my support staff's job, everybody that works in our organization, is to allow that top producer more time. Be 2 places at once, being able to maximize the front end with our marketing team, back end with our transaction coordinating, everything. So we're the only brokerage in the entire city that has an in-house transaction coordination division where they're employees of our company, they only service our company, and they're at a fraction of the cost of a normal transaction coordinator because that's typically what top agents need first. Mm-hmm. Then we have an entire marketing team that literally from a push of a button can handle all of your marketing for you in less than 5 minutes. So we never want our agents in front of a computer at 6 p.m. at night building a Facebook flyer or open house flyer. Let us do that in 5 minutes for you, right? Yeah. So our entire focus to our agents is I only want you to do money producing activities. I want you to network, to bridge, to talk to your database, to go on buyer presentations, listing presentations. On top of that, we're going to give you better marketing than ever, better support than ever, being able to put you in places where you need to be. Once you kind of combine that stuff, it's very easy for the top producer to then grow because like I said, they're not needing, real estate like knowledge. They already know it. It's just how can you maximize it? And I think, you look at a lot of our producers who come over, 89% of our advisors increase their production within the first 6 months being part of our firm, which is my favorite stat we've ever had because, for us, that's everything. Making a transition in this industry, if you're a top producer, can be very, I don't know, I'm a little nervous. I don't want my business to stop, all that. So we are very dialed in from the very first day you're with us, from our onboarding team to our marketing team to getting everything installed and integrated with you. And the entire probably first 2 to 3 weeks, we're hand-holding you with our marketing team and making sure that you just have everything you know. But we just have amazing support staff, amazing systems to really build and to help the agent, right? A lot of agents, depending on where they work, everything is on them. From their website to their CRM to their lead generating to whatever it may be, it's all on them.
Yeah.
And that's very scary in 2025. And I think being able to have a full service brokerage like we are, that you literally come in and everything is done for you, there's nothing like it.
I had someone I know and love recently. I just kind of asked her a general question about, because I know, like I said, a lot of her stuff comes organically.
Yeah.
She's not paying for Zillow leads or anything like that. But one of the things is time.
Yeah.
She said, amazingly, her statement and the business she's doing, she said she didn't have time for a lot of follow-up, like taking care of those clients that have already been closed, going, having, as Buffini has, have the little events or whatever, just do these little extra things to really nurture those people. When you're talking with your marketing team, what are some of the things that, these agents that we're just talking about that are in that, doing it all themselves, and now they're coming in, now they're starting to use their marketing team. What are some of the things that they're doing and seeing some almost probably pretty immediate results if you're getting
immediate.
6 months?
Absolutely it is. Yeah. I mean, I think it just depends. Like, it depends on, what exactly the agent is doing it themselves. What are they trying to offset? Who are their clientele? Do they have a database, right? Because you'll be surprised how many agents don't have one. So that's step number one. We have to get your database in place. If it's emails, if it's past customers, if it's whatever it is, we have to get you on some type of drip campaign where those people are hearing from you without you doing anything. So we want automation, right? But also, do you have a social media presence? Because social media is free. It's the best way that people can hear from you as much as possible. And also, do you have all of your customers on social media? I don't really understand this. They would rather have a business page without inviting their clients to it to post real estate on it, but they'll invite their clients to
the first thing you do is
page.
friending them, right? I mean, that should be...
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, this person also needs to then know that you're in the industry. Yes, they don't need to only see that you sell houses, right? But staying top of mind is very important. And if you're looking for referrals and all those things, there's been a study years ago that said that people have to see you and hear from you 9 times to remember you. Real estate is probably like 15 times because they're already going to know 3 other realtors. So why are they remembering you, right? And so what are you doing inside those touches? So we do a lot of business planning in our brokerage. We spend about 3 months on it at the end of the calendar year. And we go through a big brand book about, what are your 40, 30, 20 touches into your A, B's, and C's? Well, here's some ideas that we can go through. What is going to be automated for you from our Client for Life program to all of these things where a click of the button and some automation done, we can have 30 touches for each individual agent without them doing anything. That is unheard of. Right. And so then it comes down to, okay, are you writing quarterly thank you cards? Are you doing a client appreciation event? Are you writing them happy birthday or home anniversary cards? All of these things that agents would love to do, they've always wanted to do, but they don't have time to do, right? Now we give it to them. Yeah. And so I think that's what really makes us unique, to be honest.
Well, it's that whole ideology that you have, that you're there to serve them. You are living a better lifestyle because they're living a better lifestyle.
Of course.
And being that person who clears the obstacles, time, you're giving them more time to be face to face to make more money. Yeah. And, it is easy to be the supply sergeant, but you actually have to be a proactive supplier of that. If you're sitting back waiting for them to ask you for something, they're too busy to think about what they need to ask you for.
Yeah. I mean, I think we mentioned national conferences and stuff like that before. I think that's, I don't know if there's anyone who's more dialed into the industry than I am. And I think that's part of my job is we need to figure out, okay, what does Redfin have coming down the pipe with all this Mr. Cooper stuff and all this Rocket Mortgage stuff? What is that going to look like in 6 months? Okay, what is like all this clear cooperation stuff going to end up happening? How's that going to affect us with NAR? And that is my job. My job is to update our advisors and say, hey, here's what's going on in the industry. Here's what this market delayed is listing syndication is going to be looking like, all of these things. So whenever they come to the sales meeting, it's, wow, I didn't even hear about that stuff. And they can go right back into it. And I think that's why we have such a high attendance rate for our in-person and also online, both sales meetings, but also our trainings, is because I think people walk in there and they say, I know I'm going to learn at least one thing. And that's always been kind of my goal. And we have probably 92 to 94% attendance rate, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, as I've mentioned many times with the agents that you've had on, the golden nuggets, because you have such a group of high-level people, something's liable to fall off their cart, and you might be come up with a great idea that they might even not. They just had the idea, they use it a little bit. You might go, oh my God, and take it to the end zone, right?
Well, and I think that's the thing is, and I don't know everything, and I'm definitely the smartest person in the room, so I empower our advisors to do panels internally, to do trainings internally, to talk about different things that they're doing when it comes to listings and to buyer agreements, and hey, what are you guys doing for prospecting right now? And so, I think the idea and the mindset of a good leader can walk into a room with 10 different people, motivate 10 different people 10 different ways. But also, I think a great leader listens and they make sure that people are heard, but then also the messaging across also gets delivered out to the other people as well. Yeah. And so we do that really good.
That segues into this next great question at ChatGPT. A lot of brokers struggle to maintain culture as they grow. How have you scaled from one shop to four, right? To four, six now.
Yeah.
I don't. They must have read the bio. It must have been an old bio. Got updated.
Maybe
6 shops without losing the tight knit, high performance culture agents that you've created.
So I think it's a absolute discipline of never altering who and what we are. And, I told you our 3 criteria earlier, and I always lead with culture. Culture to a million different people means a million different things, right? Mm-hmm. And, I think, I always told this old story where, whenever a broker first opens their company, if it's a franchise or if it's XYZ or whatever it may be, they have this destiny when they go out and they say, hey, I want to install this and I want to be this, right? But then they don't recruit as well. Maybe, they're not growing as much, but the expenses are still coming in and like, you know what, I just have to add people, right? The second you make that decision, you just lost everything you just were trying to build. So we've never, ever, ever deviated from who we are, what we're looking for, the culture that we have. And, so we've never deviated from those 3 points. Mm-hmm. And sometimes agents want to join us that aren't fitting for whatever reason, could be production, could be whatever. And they go off and have amazing careers and they're a $30 million producer. And we look back and say, crap, that kind of bit us.
Right.
But we've also dodged a lot of bullets as well, where we didn't people want to join. We tell them kind of no, not yet type thing. And a year later out of the industry. So the thing about it is, we're not always trying, we're never trying to be the biggest. We're never trying to be the most agents, the most offices, the most this. We just want to be held to a higher standard. And the culture that we have is the level of professionalism, full-time agents, all of these things that are building into the industry. And I think we've done a fantastic job at that. And I think it starts obviously with just the amazing advisors we have.
Yeah.
Without them, there's none of me, there's no ED, there's nothing, right?
Exactly.
And so it starts and stops with them. And we have amazing company culture of accountability, being able to be there for each other, and just the collaboration. I think, whenever I was a top producer in the brokerage I was with, I would walk into the office as a young agent, top producer would close the door and say, don't bother me, right? Which, they're busy. I don't blame them, right? And that's usually the culture of other places, hypothetically. But with us, it's doors open. What do we do? Small groups, meeting, because every single person that works for our company, like I told you before, is averaging $7.2 million in sales volume, which is by far the highest in the city. So every single person that you're going to walk into and see in the office, they can help you, or you can help them, or you guys can collaborate idea, or hey, what do you guys think about this? And that's where I think what really makes us unique is just the level of collaboration amongst top professionals. If you've been in the industry 25 years or 3 years, or if you do $70 million a year, or if you do $5 million a year, there's something that you can take from everybody every step of the way, which I think is really, really important.
Just looking back to say that maybe just the last year and the people that you've brought on.
Yeah.
Are most of them you reaching out and saying, hey, I like what you're doing, and bringing them in because you talk about the culture?
Yeah.
Versus how many have come to you and said, I wanted to bring on that you've actually brought on?
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of people call you all the time.
Yeah.
Want to come on, but you don't necessarily always entertain.
Correct. I would say, like I told you before, I think 90% of all of our recruiting is organic in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Either, this person comes on board, they reaches out to the agent, or one of our top producers are doing really, really well, who are a big, industry leader. Somebody reaches out to him from the brokerage. Hey, so why do you like it over there? Or, hey, how do I get in touch with Corey? Those type of things. I would say probably, I don't really reach out to that many people pre-meeting. I would say, there's certain ones who I have relationships with, obviously, I'll see in an event or whatever, that I'll say, hey, if you ever want to get in touch, I would love to meet with you again, right? Or I would love to get together. And there's a few, obviously, I still reach out to and make relationships and those things. But it's majority of the agents who are reaching out to us and saying, hey, I want to hear more, or hey, I see you guys are doing very, very well on, this platform or that, can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Right.
And then, we run their numbers, we make sure that they're a culture fit, we do all these things, we have a whole vetting process that we really go into it. And then we obviously want to meet with them and bring them on board from there.
When you have someone that, isn't necessarily maybe one of the people that you brought in, because obviously you bring in, if you recruit them, a little bit about them.
Yeah.
But, say one of the advisors say, hey, Sally over here, bring them in. What are some of the vetting things that you like to do? Do you have them interview with other agents, or what do you? Well,
so there's very few producers that we're going after that somebody in my office doesn't know, right? Or hasn't worked with, or wasn't at the brand they're with, or whatever else. And so we want to figure out, because anybody can lie to anybody for an hour, right? And they can always mislead, and they could say, hey, I'm a great person, this, and that. But what we want to know is, what are they like in the sales meetings? What are they like in the trainings? What are they like whenever you do a deal together? What are they really like, right? And that we rely heavily on our advisors for that. And, there's also, we've been in this industry a long time, so there's a lot of people that I know as well. And some people are just naturally not the right fit. Some people we really, really want, right? And so it just depends kind of who they are, who they're coming from. But we rely heavily on that word of mouth and saying, because also for me, it's the best thing. Our advisors care who works there, who doesn't work there. And, I think for me, they have more pride sometimes than I do, it seems like, because they take it very serious of, hey, I work for Engel Völkers, and we are held to a higher standard and all of these things. And so typically by the time that I start asking my first or second agent about, this other person who wants to meet, it's a Corey, stay away from that person. No. Or it's, Corey, you need this person, I'll call them.
Do you go back and look at some history, see if anybody's done a transaction with them and see how...
If I don't know the agent, which I said it's pretty rare these days, I will for sure.
Yeah. I can imagine it's a good source. You're recruiting an ultra-competitive market with major national brands everywhere. What's your secret sauce when you're sitting across the table with a top agent deciding where to hang their license?
Well, I think you have to understand in 2025, what are the agents looking for, right? And, if it's just split-based, I want to make as much money as possible, they're never going to come to us anyway.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, I'll tell you this quick story. We looked, about 2.5 years ago, I guess, we looked ourselves in the mirror and we said, hey, here's where we are at in the market. Here's where our competition is. And we wanted to completely indulge, whatever you want to call it, into full service brokerage, because we feel that what we do, no one else can really compare with, right? And there's a lot of cloud bases and cap and all this stuff, and we're not that. We're never going to be that. We want to be full, 100% full service. And so the type of agent that we are going after and that wants what we have is completely different than the capping model, the online model, whatever, which is fine, right? There's enough agents to go around. But the agents who want to go full service, we are going to deep dive into that. We are going to build our value proposition. We're going to do everything in our power to get them to understand, here's how we can grow your business. 1 + 1 = 2. And it's not this hard math problem that no one can figure out, and technology you can't process and all of these things. It's very simple. And that's where we always tell everybody, we're not for every agent, which is fine. We don't have to be. But the agents who want what we have, we're going to do everything in our power to get them to our brokerage and to get them to succeed in that.
Well, it kind of puts together in my mind, just listening to you talk about that. Obviously you want agents at some level of production, so they have some maturity in the business.
Of course.
And sometimes, the new agents coming in, that they are just thinking about that split all the time. Yeah. But then they reach these lids that we're talking about. Yeah. And now it's like, I need some help. Yeah. I need someone that's going to help me bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Some of them can do it themselves. Many of them can't.
And I think the reason we don't recruit new agents and the reason we don't do any of that whatsoever is because you just don't know what you don't know, right? If you're new in this industry, if you've only been in it for 1 or 2 years and you're only doing 1 or 2 million or whatever it may be, you don't know the strength of having a transaction coordinator. You don't know the strength of having a broker on call pretty much 24/7. You don't really get the value of the lead generation, the IDX feed websites, all of these things that you don't know that you need, right? But if you're a top producer, you've been in the industry 10 years or 5 years and you're doing, 9-10 million a year, that's the number one thing you think about is how can I make my systems, how can I make my business more successful without spending more money? So, and I think that's why, our agents are who they are and just how long they've been in the industry. And I think that's what makes us unique too is, there's a lot of brands here. There's 1,700 brokerages in Jacksonville. And one of the things that I think makes us unique is we study our competition just as much as we study ourselves. And so if I'm recruiting somebody from a certain brokerage or from a certain platform or whatever it may be, I already know what they're there for, or I have an idea what they're there for, right? Are they there for splits? Are they there for brand recognition? Are they there for technology? Are they for whatever it may be? So when I'm recruiting that person, I can at least relate to, I know what they're looking for most of the time.
Yeah.
And, it's not going to work every time, right? Because there's certain things that are very, very important to people that we just can't deviate from, but more times than not, it'll work.
Yeah. I just think the hang up I can see a lot of them having is, they're doing that 9 or 10 million. Oh, he's going to take a little bit more, but okay, but how much more are you going to be able to do?
Yeah.
And giving them that confidence that, hey, you might have to do 12 million to make what you did doing 10 million at that brokerage you're currently at.
Yeah.
But our goal is to get you to 15, 16 and beyond.
Well, so my thing is too, is, real estate is a very lonely business.
Yes.
And if you're a top producer and you're doing everything on your own and you have a family and kids, majority of the time, guess who's getting left out most of the time in your life?
Yeah.
The family and kids.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as work-life balance. If you're doing it for everything, you're a top producer and all that. So one of the things I try to instill is not only are we going to try to increase your production, we're going to try to give you at least 1 to 2 transactions a year based off what we do very, very well. But also we're going to give you time, which is so important in today's world, because mental health is a absolute huge thing in today. Mm-hmm. And with everything with all the combativeness and all of the stuff in our industry, it can be a whole on roller coaster. And for whatever reason, the people that we sometimes take it out on are the people that are closest to us. It's just natural. Yep. And so it's more than just money. It's more than just, I want to grow, I want to do this. It's a whole different lifestyle we're trying to give you. We're trying to give you more time to be able to take that vacation, more support to be able to say, you know what, after 7 o'clock, I'm done tonight. I want to go to my son's baseball game, whatever it may be, right? But if it's just all on you, you don't have any of that. And once again, you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know how good a transaction coordinator can make your life. You don't know how having a great CRM can make your life, right? And I think for us, a lot, and that's why we don't have barely any turnover. Like we barely lose any agents in 7+ years.
It's like this person I was talking to earlier. She said didn't really have time for a lot of follow-up.
Yeah.
Well, now you got some people doing some follow-up. However, generically it is. Something's going to come from that. You might get an extra deal or 2 a year, and that's going to offset these possible other costs that you might have.
And the thing is too, like when you really boil down the numbers, they're not that different. Like I don't care if you're at a capping model, if you're at 100, if you're at one of the other box brands or whatever else. There's so many ways to skin the cat these days. Majority of if you look at the net, it's 1 or 2 deals different max. Like it's really not that unique, but it's a matter of it's just how do we make the math work, right? Yeah. And there's creative ways for it and all that. But at the end of the day, like if an agent's not transitioning to us with the intention and mindset to grow their business, then they probably shouldn't transition anyway, because they're not going to put the time, work, energy, and effort that goes into it wherever they are, right? And so I think that's one of the biggest things that we have in our recruiting meeting is I really want to know what motivates them. What are your goals? What do you really want to accomplish, right? Because here's the thing, and it was very difficult for me to learn this. Not everybody wants to be a $25 million producer. They just don't. And that's okay. They don't have to be. But that $25 million producer, the satisfaction that they have could be the exact same as the $10 million producer who's home at 5 every day to see their kids.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's my job and our job as their brokerage and as their company to understand what motivates each and every one of them. Because different people are at different parts of their life. We have some agents who are all in, growing, invest in their time, energy, effort, all of this to grow and do everything. And we have some agents who maybe are on the back half that just says, hey, I still make a really good living. I still have this amazing life that I want to live. And maybe they've already kind of had their growth phase and now they're just doing all the things that they want to do. That's okay.
Or they're just waiting for the kids to get out, and then they'll turn it up.
They'll turn it up again. Yeah. I mean, and I think, I think brokerages, and once again, go wrong in this, is they forget that brokerages are built by the agents, right? Without the agents, there is no brokerage. And so I think for whatever reason, I don't know when this whole shift happened, but a lot of brokerages started kind of taking advantage of the agents, either with hidden fees or changing structures or making them not feel as important or whatever it may be. And I think that's where a lot of these brokerages have high turnover, is because the agent's like, I don't even feel value here anymore. Why am I spending all this money? Why am I working all this stuff? Because at the end of the day, the brokerage logo is out there because of the agents. And I think we will never, ever lose sight of that. And I think that's really, really important.
Because it's so hyper local.
Yeah.
When it comes down to Engel Völkers in San Antonio, as we were talking earlier, has a different reputation than you do.
Completely.
Yeah. So hopefully there's agents that are listening to this. Maybe they're not, or they're striving to hopefully entertain the level of agent 3 million or more in production. What advice would you give a new agent, or maybe an agent who's in that 1 to 2 million area that you were talking about before, be looking for in their brokerage? Because you're at these meetings, they're not all Engel and Volker meetings. Right. These are Inman's, everybody's there.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that are even here locally? They just got to find that brokerage that really fires them up, that is sharing and adding value to them, giving them the things they don't know.
So I'll big it in 2 buckets for you. Number one, if you're a brand new agent off the street, you have to search, find, and discover training. Because if you don't have the foundation of the home is going to crumble. And if you have no idea what you're doing, or you have no idea how to navigate the contract, or what a CRM is, or what an open house is, or the importance of all of these things, you have nothing. So if you're a brand new agent, find a brokerage that you can find the training, you respect all of that, and also find a top agent you can work for free for. Because you are going to learn more in 3 to 4 months with following that agent around, just by the way they talk, the way that they handle objections, the way that they present themselves. You're going to learn more in that 3 to 4 month time frame than any classroom you'll ever be in. So that's the first bucket. Second bucket is the agents who are between, let's say, $500,000 to $2.5 to $3 million in production. It depends, number one, how long have you been in the industry, right? Are you brand new, or have you been in it for 5 years? It's just not clicking. But also, I think you really need to deep dive into, what do you believe that you need? Right? Is it lead generation because you're not having enough client acquisition? Is it systems because you're really good with tech, but you don't have a good website to lead generate off of? Is it agents inside your brokerage you can do open houses for, right? Everything stems and starts and stops with client acquisition. That's really what real estate's all about, right? The best agents in the world aren't the ones who know the contracts the best. They're the ones who know the most people. So you have to know people. You have to have a great client acquisition concept. So if you are somebody who is at $2 million a year and you really want to go to 5, what are you doing for lead generation? And I'm not just saying buy leads. It's not the only lead generation aspect of it. There's a million different ways you can do it. We put them in 2 buckets: paid lead generation and sweat equity. There's a lot of things you can do. But also, I think you really need to decide on, where do you want to be? Because if you want to be a $5 million producer, but you only have a $2.5 million work ethic, it's not going to meet, right? You're not just going to get lucky in today's market. So the $5 to $10 million producers, they are some of the hardest working people in our entire industry. So are you willing to adapt to that? Are you willing to invest into your business, to put that time, energy, and effort into it? And I think you really have to look for what brokerage allows you to grow. Are there other agents inside of your brokerage who are that you want to be, right? Production wise, are there other agents in your brokerage who are doing the things that you want to do? So if you want to get into luxury real estate, let's say, or are you the top producer at your brokerage at $3 million, right? You are the 5 people you surround yourself with, you'll be the 6th. And I really, really believe in that. And I think that's what makes us unique. And I think that's why people are so drawn to us, is because the 5 people you're around in our brokerage are all at $7.2 million in sales volume on average. So you'll hopefully be that 6th, right? And that's the whole concept. But whatever brokerage you're at, there's a lot of really, really good ones out there. It's not just us. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but you have to figure out what's important to you as an agent.
They have to have, and if you comment on this, they have to have the confidence to ask those things that you just rattled off, all those different things, and to put them into their world and be drilling these brokerages or agents that work for that brokerage to find out really what's really going on and what's going to be delivered when you show up that first day.
The worst thing anyone can do in real estate is get their license and go and work at XYZ real estate because their friend does. That is 100% wrong. That's like hiring a listing agent if you're a seller because your friend used that person. No, you should still interview 3 other people, because you want to make sure that the personality that works for your friend, that works for you. Same thing in the real estate
Or
space.
ask your friend why they actually thought it was successful. Some of them just take the referral and go, okay, but why? What is it they did for you that you think they're so great?
That's everything.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that if you're friends in real estate, it's a great way to start. I mean, to go and meet with their broker. But I think everybody's different, right? And I think you should seek out 3 to 4 different brokerages, from big boxes to local to cloud-based to whatever is important to you, and really begin, okay, where do I see myself growing? Because you really don't want to be a jumper, right? You don't want to be at one place one year, the next place the next year, Like, you want to be somewhere you can grow, right? And build your brand.
You make a good point there, because a lot of times the girlfriend is not really producing, or boyfriend, whatever. That friend is not producing. So when you surround yourself with 5 people, well, you're typically going to go to the office, and you and your friend, that's the first person that's going to be connected with you. So if they're not where you want to be, that may be the one reason why you don't go there.
And that's where, I mean, I'm obsessed with Ryan Serhant and a lot of those guys. And, he will always tell people the best way to get started in real estate is find the top producer in your market and follow him for free. And I can guarantee you that every top producer in the market will let you work for them for free, because we all need it, right?
Especially right now with all the listings, right?
Yeah. I mean, but you're going to literally learn so much in a short period of time that person's going to do and say and how they handle business than you'll ever learn in a school. All
right. This is a high level question here. I really like this one. The market has shifted from red hot well, it says to normalize. I don't know if are we considering this a normalized market?
I think
you call it normalized.
Normalish.
Yeah. How has your leadership style or office strategy evolved to keep your agents motivated and productive in this environment?
Well, I think for everything in life, but definitely business, it's all perspective based, right? And I think, when I'm standing in front of our team at a sales meeting, they're looking at me for guidance, but they're also looking at me for confidence. Mm-hmm. And so I think everything in life, and I actually just posted this on my social media the other day, life is never as bad as it seems or as good as you may think. It's usually in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. And the market is the exact same. The market is never as bad as you may think, and it's never as good as you may think. So if we can find that happy medium, and there's always a positive mindset of every single information. So, last meeting we had, the average sales price was down just about 1%. Averages in market were up a little bit, but more pendings were up or higher and higher inventory. So there's all these things that, and the way that I always tell our agents is tell people how the market is through data, because the data will tell them if it's true or not, right? Mm. And the media does a great job in their mind, a great job of pushing the narrative of it's bad, right? But if you look at the local market, it's really not as bad as you may think. And it's all a matter of us as real estate advisors to enlighten our customers and say, yes, it's a little bit worse than what it was X time, but here's what the good things are still. And, we talked about the roller coaster industry as a whole. If you allow yourself to start thinking negative and start being negative, you are going to be negative the entire year. And you're going to blink, it's going to be August. You're going to blink, it's going to be December. And you're going to say, where did this year go? But if you allow yourself to start thinking positively, be around positive people, and I'm not saying that everything is rainbows and all of these things, right? Yeah. Life is hard. We get that. But if you make it harder on yourself, then it's going to be even worse. Yeah. So I think it's just the mindset of that everything will be okay.
In the beginning stages of building Engel Völkers First Coast, what was the hardest leadership lessons you had to learn the hard way? And how did you shape the way you operate today?
That's a great question.
Yes, I love that one.
Well, I can give you what I think our biggest obstacle was. So, obviously we came in this market back in March 30th of 2018. We opened our first shop location in Jacksonville Beach. And, people didn't even know who the brand was. People were calling it Engel and Volkswagen. What is this insurance firm? What is going on?
Right.
And so I knew very quickly that our number one obstacle will always be brand awareness. And that's part of the reason that we have this recruiting strategy where we only go after top producers, because we knew the fastest way to grow brand recognition is bring agents on board who already had it. And they can align with us, and they have the listings. The more for sale signs in the yards you have, the more brand recognition you're going to get. Yep. And here we are 7.5 years later, whatever it may be, and that's still our number one obstacle. Every single day that I'm in the office, my goal is to accomplish brand recognition and brand awareness. And I don't think we're ever going to be the neighborhood office, which is okay. We don't need to be. But my biggest thing is whenever you get a call or a buyer or seller get a call from one of our agents and they say, hey, this is Corey Hasting with Engel Völkers, their first question is not, who's that? Right. And I think we've done a fantastic job getting into that. And we're going to continue to do a fantastic job through all the channels that we have, from social media to video to everything we're doing. Right. And that's the goal. But that's always going to be our biggest obstacle.
Well, that's a great answer. But the question I think it was leading to is the hardest leadership lesson you've had. Because you've gone from 20-something to 30-something during this 7-8 years.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I think the hardest lesson that I have is, everything. So I'm a very, very big believer that, business is personal. And because I'm doing business with people that I personally want to be in business with. It's kind of the Jeff Bezos mindset, right? Where, people always say it's this business, it's not personal. It's business, not personal. For me, it is personal. And so I think for me, it's being that how involved I am and being able to still, have my own life, my own personal things that's going on, all of this, but not completely wrapping my entire life around the business, the brokerage, all of that. And I think it's something that I daily struggle with, because I go back to that first thing I said, I want people to know, right, is that I care. Mm-hmm. And so literally, I mean, I'm 24/7 available. I'm 365. I'm always there for them, always working for our brand and all of these things. And I don't know if that's the answer to your question, but it's something that I have struggled with, I think, just because I am obsessed with the process. And, that's something that I'm constantly learning from each and every day, each and every month, and kind of trying to adapt and change my leadership style to where, because I opened this brokerage at 27. I was the youngest licensed partner in company history. Here I am 34 now, which seems very old to me, but I think it's still young. I've learned a lot over my journey. And, I've learned a lot of amazing lessons. I've learned a lot of hard lessons. I've learned a lot of great lessons, right?
Yeah.
Some mistakes, some really good successes. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think I would change anything along the way.
I want to finish with this because I really love this question here, because I really think it sums up, and just to kind of conclude here the podcast. If a broker, owner, or team leader listening to the show wants to grow to your level, you got 6 offices, 136 agents, your EV Cup award here amongst other awards, what are 3 non-negotiables they need to master to start?
Well, I mean, any broker owner has to master recruiting. And that is an entire bucket in itself, because you have to analyze your competition. You have to understand what your value proposition is, who and what you are, who and what you want to be.
Who you want to bring in.
Who you want to bring in. I mean, that is everything. So that's like a generic one, but there's a lot of layers inside that. But you have to master recruiting, because without recruiting, there is no brokerage, right? Number one. Number two, you have to master your value proposition for your brokerage. So are you going to be a full service? Are you going to be a capping model? Are you going to have assistance and marketing and all of these things as resources? Or are you going to just kind of be 100% brokerage, right? And there's a lot of different ways to win, but the ones who do it really well understand their value prop and don't deviate from it. So recruiting, value proposition, and I think number 3 is setting goals to where you want to be. Because there's so many business owners and entrepreneurs who are just business owners with no direction, right? But what are you working towards? Do you want to be a $1 billion company? Do you want to be a $500,000 company? Do you want to have 500 agents? Do you want to have 100 agents? And you can adjust those goals and plans with growth and with evolution of time and all of that. I mean, we did that. I mean, so when we first opened, a lot of people don't know this story, and I'll tell it. I was 27, and I gave myself 3 years to what I told myself to be successful. So everything that we did when we first opened, I signed a 3-year lease. So a 3-year lease on our space, 3-year lease in our printer, 3-year lease on our Comcast. I mean, every single thing was 3 years. Because I told myself, if I fail at 30, I can always get back into selling and I'll be fine. Yeah. So we wanted to get to $300 million as fast as possible in production. I told myself we could do that in 3 years, right? Well, we did it in 14 months. And I'm like, okay, what can we do next? Okay, let's get to 500 million as fast as possible in production. Right. Well, we did that in about 12 more months. So here we are about 2.5 to 3 years in at 500 million in production. We're saying, okay, what can we do now? Like, let's shoot for the stars. Let's do $1 billion, right? And last year we missed it by just under 12 million. So we haven't hit that goal yet. But also you have to learn that you can't be so obsessed with the unattainable. You have to enjoy the process too. Because if you're so obsessed with the end result, you're going to miss so many good things, but also things you can learn from in the process. And, I'm always been somebody, my mom will tell you this, and a lot of people close to me, that I've always struggled with like stopping and smelling the roses, right? I mean, that is a really, really big thing for me. Since I was 8 years old, it's always been goal, goal, goal. And so the past year, I've really, really tried to focus on the moments, not always the process. And I think that's, for me, is what made that EV Cup so special, is because it allowed me to really focus on that moment, what we accomplished, all the work and time, energy, and effort that went into it, every single person that was in that kind of room with me, but also like it's been a part of our brokerage. It made it one of the most special moments in my life.
Is that big? I want to say imposter syndrome. That, this might not be the best way to describe that. Because we win an award, or someone says, oh, you've got the best real estate podcast in Jacksonville. Okay, well, what does that mean, right? Yeah. What does that really mean? How am I equating it? Like, obviously, we always want to equate it to dollars, right? Yeah. Am I driving a nicer car, a bigger house? What do I, you know what I'm saying? And you're right. It's one of those life things, It's
very difficult. Yeah. And, for me, it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest, if I'm being 100% honest, because it's a blessing because I will outwork anybody. And I will, once I have my mind on set something, like there's nothing that ever would deviate from it. I'm a very goal-oriented person from my sports background and everything. But it's also a curse because sometimes you don't allow yourself to enjoy those moments or to those accomplishments. You know, you're always focused on, well, yeah, we won the cup, but what are we doing next year? Or yeah, we won. Yeah, we finished number 2 and the entire EV America Network and GCI closed, but why aren't we number 1? And it's some people who aren't like-minded will never understand that. And it's, you know, and that's where it's the curse. It's because you really don't always appreciate what you've done and all of those things. And so, you know, I think that's my biggest focus, I think now, is really just enjoying the moments that we've worked so hard for, because it's at the same time, like, you know, if you work so hard towards something, right, and you don't ever enjoy getting to it, then why did you just work so hard for it? Like, it makes no sense. And so I think, you know, winning that award, and even though it's just a cup and it's just with our brand and all that, I mean, it was such an amazing moment for us. And it didn't add more dollars to our pocket. It didn't, you know, change.
There was no big check inside the cup.
No. But mentally, I think it was just, so I told this story to our team, and I know I'm rambling, but I'm sorry.
That's right.
Success in our business is very difficult to define. Because what does success mean? That you make $100,000 a year, that you've sold 10 listings? I mean, what does that truly mean? And I think for me in the broker game, it is very difficult to measure success, because success to me may be completely different to success from somebody else. And I think in that moment, that whenever we won that cup and we had that trophy and we had that recognition, we had that, I felt that we were successful. And we've been successful for years since then. But in that moment, that's what it meant to me. And I think being able to take a step back, reflect on it, and just what all transpired in that event, in that moment, was truly special.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, last one. What's next for Engel Völkers First Coast? Expansion, new shops. You talked about a little bit about some new tech coming on.
Yeah. We have a bunch of new stuff coming. I can't share yet. We'll have to come back on for a lot of them, I think. But we are in the process of expanding for sure. The market today, there's a market of opportunity, in my opinion, where, you know, brokerages and agents, but brokerages specifically, who do things very, very well. There's a lot of recruiting out there. There's a lot of ability, because there's market share that's up for grabs, because not every brokerage is going to be fast forward. Not every agent's going to be fast forward. So being that we are who we are, we're going to continue to grow, bringing great talent on, potentially open new markets, opening new shops, you know, consolidating 2 to open 1 at our new headquarter office. There's a lot of things that we're doing that is not just 2025 based. It's also, what do we see in 26? What do we see in 27? Where do we see the evolution of this market going? And also our brokerage in general. You know, we're always trying to add new systems, new tools, like we talked about, either integrating AI or listing enhancements, whatever we can do that we can make our advisor's life easier, we will always do. And we will always expand whenever it makes sense. We will always add talent whenever it makes sense, but we are not desperate to grow. If we didn't add a single agent for the rest of the year, I would be fine. Our brokerage would be fine. But we know that's not realistic. We're still going to. But we are in the business of adding the right people, the right locations, the right technology, not just trying to grab things because we need it, which I think is a whole different mindset than some brokerages.
It's kind of like winning the Super Bowl. You got your EV Cup, right? And, well, you know, I got my team. Nobody's going on free agency. Who do I want to add? I can be a little more selective.
We can be selective. And I think that's a blessing. I mean, we're very, very blessed as a brokerage. I mean, you know, like I said, there's a lot of brokerages out there who are not growing, or they're losing agents or whatever else, and it's the product of the market, which I understand. For us, it's time for us to really perfect what we do, perfect who we are, perfect who we want to be, right? From the top all the way down, and just being able to provide more and more value.
Solid show, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Very solid show. Anyone listening to this is just jam-packed.
Appreciate it.
So we get some good reels out of this one.
That's why I didn't ramble too much.
No, you didn't. It was a solid show for whether you're a broker out there looking to get better. Like I said, we talked about new agents, or, you know, agents hitting that lid, which I think there's so many of them out there. There was a lot of great tips and advice. And obviously reach out to Corey. You know, if you aren't on his radar screen there, those are who are in the business, because I know a lot. Obviously, you've had a lot of the agents on. You have first-class offices. That's the way you run your show. It's a first-class operation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.